What are you saying?
So our field elevation is 1,357, right? And a standard pattern altitude is 1,000 feet above. So technically our pattern altitude is 2,357, but that's a really meticulous number to follow. So we just err on the side of caution as well, around up to 2,400. Now Sullivan County Airport is also 2,400. That's because their field elevation is 1,305. So if you add 1,000 to that, it'll be 2,405, but 2,400 would do.
Okay, so it's got to be 1,000 feet above that.
Exactly.
And when do you start making the descent? Like when you start going in for the landing?
When you're keeping that 2,400 until you beam your landing point. When it's just assuming that it's a standard left-hand traffic pattern, it's going to be off your left wing. You're going to see the runway, right? For us, since it's a short field landing, our landing point is going to be the numbers. So at the numbers, we're going to go power down at 1,700 RPMs and then 1 notch of flaps in. That's when you're going to start pitching down for 500 feet per minute descent. And that's going to allow you to keep that 95 miles per hour with the increased drag from the flaps. Does that make sense?
95 miles per hour on the landing?
Yep. Or no, so the first leg is 95 miles per hour.
Okay.
And then the second leg is going to be your downward, the base.
Okay.
Your base turn, because it's like a big rectangle if you think about it, right? So the longest part of the rectangle is going to be 95 miles per hour.
Okay.
And then when you're beamed, the landing point, which is the number is 36, you're going to go ahead and put the power down at 1,700 RPMs, first notch of flaps, and then start your descent. And 45 degrees from your left shoulder, that's when you should start to turn your base, right? And typically it ends up working out that it's around 2,100 feet that you're turning base on.
Okay.
And then once you turn base, then you put in your second notch of flaps in, and this new airspeed is going to be 85 miles per hour. And then on your base leg, there's a couple things you have to do. I like to just check everything everything was done. Like landing light is on, fuel pumps is on, mixture is full rich, and I have 2 notches of flaps just to double check. Then you're gonna look to your right and see that no one's coming in on final.
Okay.
And then you're gonna look to your left and making sure that you're keeping a good distance away from the runway as well. And then you're gonna go into your final turn, and at your final turn, this should be around 75 to 80 miles per hour here, and this is when you put in your last final notch of flaps.
Okay.
Yep. And then as you're coming down, you kind of want to slow down. So when you want to cross the runway at 75 miles per hour, then you want to round out. At this point, as soon as you see that you cross the runway at 75 miles per hour, you can kind of look away from the airspeed, because you're going to round out and you're going to flare. You're going to bleed all that airspeed out. That's going to cause you to sink and touch the ground.
When you flare, you like pull back a little bit?
Yep, when you pull back, just remember doing the power off stall?
Yeah, we got to practice that one again too.
Yeah,
okay.
we can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
But yeah, and you really want to make sure that you're keeping coordinated throughout this whole thing and making sure that your airspeed's correct for all of it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so that's got to focus on the airspeed. So you said 95 on a turn, and coming in, it's about get down to 75 when you're on your landing.
Right.
Okay.
And then, like, what's really nice about this airport is that we have runway 18 and runway 36, right? And 36 is it's a north heading, so we're bugging north when we're taking off from this, going that way. Going this way, we're gonna bug south, right? But what's really nice about it is that you're flying north, and it's a big square, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you turn your crosswind leg, you should be in a west heading.
Okay.
And then when you turn your downwind leg, it's going to be your south heading, and then you go east and then back to north.
Okay.
Yep.
And Sullivan County's kind of same angle, or is that a little bit different, a little slightly different?
So Sullivan County is just slightly different, just because it's a 330 and a 15 runway heading, but same concept.
Basically the same.
Yep. Everything's the same concept.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Here comes another piper. Is that somebody student, you think?
No, that's not a student.